cast, I have to talk about the cast because across the board, I felt they did a decent job, but I have to give special praise, believe it or not, to Leto.
What did you just say?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. So we're going to talk about Masters of the Universe, which I had the opportunity to watch yesterday. So, Masters of the Universe 2026, guys, I have to say, this movie is flawed, but an undeniably entertaining ride. Now let's get into it. I generally had a fun time with this film. And with all fantasy, you have to leave all sense and sensibilities at the door. This is essentially the classic case of animation, a cartoon brought to life. This film embraces its vibrant colors, and for me, in terms of aesthetics, it kind of oscillates between Thor and Flash Gordon. A blend of high fantasy, glorious 80s campiness, if that's a word, and it won't work for everyone, but there is scarcely a dull moment in this film. Considering this franchise was born from an 80s toy line, which then evolved into an iconic animated series, and now to another live action movie starring Galitzine, I honestly think the filmmakers did a respectable job in honouring this movie's roots. As I say, the vivid colours, the over-the-top production design, the 80s inspired scores, and the self-aware humour which created a world that felt refreshingly unapologetic. Now the cast, I have to talk about the cast because across the board I felt they did a decent job, but I have to give special praise, believe it or not, to Leto.
What did you just say?
He fully commits to Skeletor. He chews every scene with theatrical menace and a degree of charisma. Now he does give an exaggerated kind of Shakespearean-esque delivery as Skeletor, which overall did really work and it was fun to watch, and at times I was flummoxed thinking that that's Jared Leto. This is really a decent performance. Now whether you loved or hated this interpretation of Skeletor, I felt that Jared Leto's performance will leave a lasting impression, and for me I thought he did a good job. Now, of course, Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms boss, not more can be said there. He always delivers. But I have to say, his role in terms of the dialogue didn't give as much gravitas as I would have hoped. Now, as for Galitzine as He-Man, he did a respectable job. However, I appreciated the film most when we finally got the fully realised badass version of He-Man. It felt that the movie took too long to unleash that version of He-Man, but I understand there's a build-up, there's always a build-up. But when we get there, it is so satisfying, I tell you, very satisfying. If you watched my trailer reaction, you would have saw that I was somewhat concerned that they didn't have the famous quintessential echo to the legendary "I have the power" chant. I have to say, it did land beautifully in the final act of this film. Talk about satisfying, okay? I was concerned that they wouldn't capture it, but they did that, they did. And it instantly transported me back to the cartoon. Now, is the script perfect? No. There are some pacing issues and several emotional moments that could have landed with far greater impact. The themes of loss, regret, failure, rediscovering one's purpose, and resolving conflict through diplomacy or brute strength. I appreciated those themes, but I have to say, the storytelling remained largely surface level and never really explored the emotional weight of those ideas which it deserved. But I appreciate this movie is for adults and children alike. Ironically, I have to say, the moment that affected me the most was when a non-human was attacked in this film. Now, maybe that says more about me than the movie, but it is what it is. Just put it this way. A little spoiler, if you've watched The Wild Robot, there is a similar robot. Well, for me, there were similarities, and when this particular robot got attacked, that had a bigger impact to me than the scenes with the humans and Eternians. And my other critique of this film, there were also a few narrative choices and human reactions that were unintentionally hilarious. Characters witness great monsters and possibly world-ending events, but just stand by with mild curiosity. It's like, okay, I know we've got to leave all sense and sensibilities at the door, but can we have a bit of verisimilitude and real life reactions? It was just, there was some scenes in this film I just thought, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I know it's fantasy, but the Earth scenes, they did really stretch all sorts of credibility. Likewise, the entire Earth subplot, it felt like a convenient device to move the story forward to the next part. And for me personally, they could have omitted the whole Earth element. That's for me personally. But I can conclude on a good note, the final battle of this movie was boss level. I absolutely loved it. I was metaphorically punching my fists in the air in the cinema. It gave everything it needs to give. There were some other action sequences which were satisfying with Man-at-Arms, but the final action sequence with He-Man, woo, they did that. It's so satisfying. Couldn't have choreographed it any better. It was just fantastic. Now, as I said, Nicholas Galitzine as He-Man, he was good. I just have to acknowledge that this is the first movie. I do believe there will be a sequel subject to the box office, which I understand is somewhat struggling at the moment. But I hope that they get a second bite at telling the story of He-Man. As I say, Jared Leto, he was one of the better parts of this movie, believe it or not. I really hope that people will go to the cinema to see this film. I don't know if the buzz is sort of fading already with this film, because there's so many movies. The movie slate this year is just incredible. This was an entertaining ride. Will I watch it again in the cinema? I don't know, I'll wait until it comes out on streaming, but it's still an entertaining piece. I am going to go back to watch Michael the movie, and I look forward to see The Disclosure by Steven Spielberg. But to wrap this video up, Masters of the Universe is a fun ride, it's entertaining, many comical moments. Unfortunately, the emotional elements didn't really land to the point where I'm having much more of a reaction to a robot getting attacked. Problematic. The scenes on Earth could have been truncated, and I needed verisimilitude. They really did stretch all sorts of credibility and realism with the scenes on Earth. It just came across as silly, I have to say. And Nicholas Galitzine, he did a good job, but I need him to elevate his acting range, shall we say. Okay, he did a good job, decent job. I guess he nailed what he was given in terms of the script and the dialogue, but I just needed more. So good movie, not a great movie, but an entertaining ride. That's all I have to say. So guys, do please comment below. Have you seen Masters of the Universe? Let me know your thoughts. How much did you give it out of 10? For me, this is a decent 6 out of 10. But please do comment below. Please do subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you down in the comment section. Adios for now. Bye.